not the chosen one. So, after looking around on this for a while, I haven't seen anyone post a story like mine, so here it goes. I have been with my wife for going on 9 years. We knew each other since high school but didn't start seeing each other until I was 20 and she was 18. We started talking on Facebook then when she came home from college. She was going to school in Georgia and we are from a suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio. When she came for winter break, we started hanging out and within 2 weeks we fell madly in love. This was 2009. We stayed together through her next semester, doing the long-distance thing stuff but was worth it. She moved back home in the summer and decided to go to a local college in order to be with me. Everything was great. We did everything together and had so much fun. We were inseparable. Then December 2010 she out of nowhere decided she wants to break up so she could focus on school, and she was just overwhelmed by her family to do good in school. I was devastated. I was confused and hurt. Oddly enough though, 2 days later she calls me and says she wants to get back together. I was just so happy to have her back that I just swept what happened under the rug and moved. Spoilers, this is the break when she had slept with T. Very shortly after that we moved in together in Jan 2011. Our first daughter was born in Feb 2013. It was February 2015 and my daughter was just turning 2. My wife, girlfriend at the time, asked me if I would be okay if she started watching her friend's baby, her friend who was a guy. Now I was fine with her having guy friends, but I thought it was weird that someone she barely talked to would ask her to watch his child, but at the time we were broke for I was the only one working. I was also going to college part-time, and we were breaking, so I okay it. This should have been the first red flag. Fast forward a few weeks and one night she comes home from her friend's house, or so she says, and tells me that she hasn't been happy since before the baby. There was no spark between us and if she had somewhere to go, she would leave and she wanted to take a break. A few days later we decide to work things out and things were actually better for about a week. Then one day I come home and I'm sitting on the bed and I notice she gets a text message from this guy. We'll just call him T, so I decide to read what it says. It was nothing incriminating, but I did see, before she came back in the room, is she sent him a picture of cookies she just made and wrote, "These are for you." This in itself isn't that bad, but the fact that the whole day she was being rude and mean to me made me feel like crap. So, I confront her and she says that they are just friends but they have been talking for a while, and she was afraid to tell me because she thought I would think she was cheating. I didn't really believe, but I had no evidence. Later that night while lying in bed, I just couldn't stop thinking about it, so I decided to steal her phone and read what they were talking about, but she deleted all the text messages. I knew something was wrong. When I get home from work the next day, I confront her again and she says she knew I would go through her phone, so she deleted all the text, and her reason was that she wasn't going to talk to him anymore and she didn't want me to misconstrue anything and think she's cheating. Which I knew was bull even then because she was still babysitting for him and knew she would have to communicate with him again regardless. She told me that they only talk as friends and that they never hung out or anything. Fast forward another week and it's all I can think about. I told her she couldn't watch his kid anymore and she had to cut off all contact with him, and at first, she refused and told me it's really messed up that I want her to give up a friend. Looking back, every time I have ever confronted her about a lie or contradiction she would react in anger. We fought about it for a few more days and it wasn't until I threatened to leave did she finally agrees and apologize for everything. I never really believed anything she said, but at the time I was so afraid of her taking my kids away I just accepted and tried to move on even though I knew she was lying to me. Over the next few years things between us were very rocky. I would bring up what happened and she just kept denying. We'd have good periods and bad periods, but the whole while I knew that she lied to me about all that. Things started getting a lot better between us once she started working and we were finally getting ahead in life. Then I got her pregnant again, but this time she couldn't get insurance because we made too much money. I suggested we get married. She would drop hints about all the time, but I always wanted to wait until we were more financially stable. We both really talked about our options and came to the conclusion that getting married would be best for our family, and we did, and still do, love each other. Looking back I realized that with as much doubt that I had, I should not have married her. Then I found out that I have ADHD. Now that I have been medicated for a while, all this stuff that happened with this T guy just started really playing over and over on my mind. To the point where I confronted her yet again and she still told me the same thing. I knew she was still lying because over the years, I learned that she has tells when she's lying about something, and all the tells were there when she would talk about it. Then on this last Saturday I was so obsessed with what happened that I started digging through all her old phones and laptops just trying to get some evidence, but still could find nothing. I finally broke down and told her flat out I think she's lying still and I want her to take a polygraph test. She started to get angry and said it was so messed up I didn't trust her. I knew though this was a deflection. So, I persisted and told her either she does this or I'm filing for divorce. At first, she started to say to just file then. I knew right then that I was in fact correct about her deceit. So, she proceeds to tell me that when we first started dating, in which she broke up with me for 2 days, she slept with T. Then told me she was only talking to him as friends at first, but then he made it physical and she decided to stop telling him after that. But they did hang out once, but nothing happened between them when they did. I think this is all more lies. I was so crushed and angry that I started screaming at her and was ready to walk out. Then to make matters worse, I started to think about everything a little more, and I realized that when we went on that break in which she slept with T was actually after us being together for a year, not within the 2 weeks we first started dating. So many lies, and she can't keep them straight. So not only had she been lying to me about what was going on with her texting T, but then she tells me she slept with him after breaking up with me. I'll never forget how she phrased it either. She said, "Do you want me to tell you something I hid in order to save our relationship?" It burns every time I hear her say this in my mind. Now I don't know what to do. All the days since have been an emotional roller coaster. One day I'm angry, the next I'm crying uncontrollably, the next I'll feel nothing. I also have nowhere to go. For now, I'm stuck here. It's been so hard because when I'm around her and the kids, I just want to forget it all and just move on from this, but whenever I'm away from her, even just the next room, everything starts playing over in my head and I keep remembering different details that just make it all worse. I think she's still hiding stuff about all this. Though she said I could put spyware on her phone and go to marriage counseling, but even though she agreed to it, she's very reluctant to take a polygraph. I think if I do make her do that, I'm going to find out even more. So now I have to make the decision to either stay with her and try to make it work, or do I leave and tear my 5-year-old's world apart. I do love her and want to forgive her, but I feel like it's just too much now. Too many lies and so much deceit. If she would have been honest about it all, I would have forgiven her. But the amount of lies and deceit make me think that all of it was a lie, that I was just easy to use. And now I'll tell her I want to make it work, then I'll wake up the next morning and won't even be able to look at her. I also will show affection because in a way I feel guilty that she feels so guilty. I'll say I love you too, but I do it reluctantly. We also keep having really good bonding through all of this. The bonding been better than when we first met. I've basically took all control of the bedroom. I also made her orgasm through oral for the first time. I know she didn't fake that. I probably shouldn't be, but I have a very high physical drive and she is the opposite. So, I figured get it while I can. I feel the weight of my family's future resting on my shoulders. A part of me wants to just leave and give up on all this. I feel like just accepting and moving on isn't fair. She gets to cause me all this pain and pretty much get away with it. I've thought about going out and sleeping with someone else, but it wouldn't make me feel any better. Maybe it would. I don't know anymore. It seems as though my judgment is off. Almost feel like the worst part is that I feel guilty for making her feel guilty. Maybe that means I do want to forgive her. Now I feel more alone than ever and I don't know how to move forward. I don't want to leave my home, but I don't know if I want her to be a part of it. This is hell right now. I mean, I want to go to sleep, but I know she's going to wake up and want to say hi to me and I'm going to want to break down. Comments. Everything starts opening up and clicking when you realize you can replace her with someone who's actually better for you in every way possible. You can't change her, but you can change you. Go for it and never look back. Your pain will dissipate and happiness will follow sometime thereafter. I've been there. Sometimes the best remedy is to roll. No strategy, tactic, marriage counseling, and all that crap. Go to IC to get your head right and healthy, and then share your heart with a person worthy of handling it with the respect, love, and delicacy that it deserves. Then come back here in 6 months or a year and tell us what life's like in the happy lane. Life's too short to screw around with people who don't know what they want. Garner the courage to pursue your happiness. You'll respect yourself for having done so, and ironically will earn her respect also, even though it wasn't for that purpose. Wayward spouses begin appreciating betrayed spouses when they see the BS charting a course without them, so that's what you have to do. OP responds. She slept with him after we were together for a year in DEC 2010. She started talking to him again around Feb 2015, but she claims they only hung out once. She also claims that toward the end, before she cut it off, T wanted to make it physical. Also, he's not married. His baby mama left while he was talking to my wife. So, I told her I called the polygraph place, which I really did. 400 is steep. She says she'll do it, but she can't take the up and downs and wants to separate until test time. I think she's just done now because she knows I'm not going to just let it go this time. I'm also thinking about confronting T. I know him. I knew him since high school. I also have his phone number. I don't think she's talked to him since. I've gone through her phone a million times since and never found anything suspicious. I honestly don't think she told anyone about this except for her one friend. So, I think I'm going to stay for now. I'm going to tell her as soon as we gather the money she's taking the polygraph and I want to go to marriage counseling. She's pretty much agreed to all this already. Some parts of me think she may actually be telling me the truth this time. I'll list my reasons. 1. I'm poor. I have no skills. Literally right before found out all this, she was supportive of me quitting my day job to rideshare full-time. 2. She really does hate seeing me upset. She always tries to make me feel better about bad situations. 3. The guy she cheated with makes more money than I, and yet she is still wanting to stay here. 4. She looks genuinely afraid to lose me. I read through some of her messages talking about all this with her friend, and she is terrified that I'm going to leave. How to deal with the images. So, it's been about a month since I found out my wife cheated on me. It's a long, complicated story I don't feel like repeating. But we've been trying to work on our marriage, and when things are going pretty up and down, I feel like she is truly remorseful for what she did and she does want to make things work with me. But I have a hard time whenever I'm not around her having images of her with this other person, and I cannot stop thinking about it. I've been cheated on before in a past relationship, but I didn't know what the person she was slept with looked like. But now with my wife, I know the person she slept with. I've known him since high school. I've seen him in my home around my children. I want to see him under my boot, but that's a different discussion. Whenever I keep having these images, I can't sleep or eat or take care of myself even in the most basic ways. Struggling to keep my house together, my kids happy, I'm just all over, just falling apart. I become so irritated and flat or angry, and I won't even want to look at wife, or I start telling her how terrible everything she's done makes me feel. One of the hardest part about all of this is getting over that image of this trash, sleeping with my wife over and over again in my head. I've looked online the other techniques to get it to stop, but nothing has worked. For a little while, every time I would start having the image, I would just do it on my wife and start sleeping with her, but that's not always an option that I can rely on. There are days where I do just want to leave. I just want to give up. I love her, but I really wonder if this is really worth going through anymore. I wonder if she really deserves a second chance. If I'm ever going to accept or truly ever forgive her. How can she ever understand how hard this is for me if she has never gone through anything like this herself? So, it's been about 2 months now of me knowing now. At first things were so up and down. One day I'd love her and the next I would even be able to look at her. Things got a lot better. She really has been trying so hard to rebuild my trust and make our relationship more fulfilling and happier. The problem now is that ever since I found out, I have been falling more and more out of love with her. The last few weeks I've felt like I have no love left for her, but I kept telling her I love her and miss her and just faked my way through it. I couldn't take lying anymore, so I told her the truth and I was going to move out. Of course, she was devastated and cried herself to sleep. The next morning, she woke me, crying her eyes out, saying she wanted to get my love for her back. After thinking about it more, I agreed to work on it. It's been a few days since then and I just feel awkward around her now. She has even tried to tell me she loves me since, which is probably smart on her end because I just don't anymore. I feel nothing for her but resentment at this point. Every time I even start to feel any sort of good feelings toward her, I end up remembering about the cheating and all the lying and just end up sad and angry. I don't know where to go from here. I know if I leave, I'll be financially ruined. I'm a stay-at-home dad for the most part and she works 50+ hours a week. I have somewhere I can stay, but I know if I leave, I will have a long, rough road ahead of me. If I stay, I fear I will only prolong both our misery and I don't know if I'll live or trust her again. Then there are the kids. I don't think she would take them from me because she wouldn't want to do anything to hurt them. They both love me very much. They're both daddy girls. Even the 6-month-old lights up whenever I'm around. My 5-year-old daughter would be devastated if I weren't there anymore. Also, my wife would have to move for she can't afford all the bills on her own. I still work part-time to help pay the bills. She would have to move in with her grandma. Her grandmother's son, wife's uncle, lives with her still and he's an alcoholic P.O.S. I don't want my kids to live with him or her way too old school grandmother. What do I do? Should I stay and work on it even though I don't feel like she deserves me anymore? Or do I leave and move in with my brother and his wife until I can find a way to maintain child support and my own bills? I feel stuck here and I'm miserable. She slept with an old friend of hers from high school. She had since completely cut off contact with him. I suspected something was happening for the last 3 years and have made sure they were not in contact. In March I told her to either take a polygraph or I was leaving, and that's when she told me she slept with him once, but over the next month I found out it was 3 times total. She would tell me she was going to her friend's house then go out with him. Her reasons were because she thought I resented her and our child, though she never told me this until recently. At the time I was unhappy with myself because the truth was that I resented myself for not being a better provider for them. I worked in a job I hated for not much money and I was going to school part-time, but I was always stressed out. I had a hard time making ends meet and was terrified of failing in school. Mine she didn't work, I paid all the bills and she took care of our baby. It was that way for over 3 years. Even when she was pregnant with our second child, she worked for the first month but then was put on bed rest. I once again paid all the bills. I was working full-time plus driving for Uber on the side to make ends meet. We're still paying off the debt from that. And also, I will be ruined financially because the day before I found about any of this, I quit my full-time job to drive for Uber full-time, so she could accept a new position at her work making much more money. She has a very odd schedule, and with the kids, me having such a flexible schedule just made sense. If I leave, that will be their only income I have, and I'll now then likely end up having to pay child support. She also told me before that if I leave, she wouldn't help with the car payments or insurance anymore. That's about $500 a month, add gas, food, phone, and now then likely child support. I would never be able to afford to live on my own again. As for the financial problems, a lot of you gave me some good advice that I will likely follow. I'm not unemployed though. I do ride share and I make decent money from it. I can usually average out around 18 to 30 an hour depending on time of the year, events going on, price of fuel. As for the legal aspect, I don't think she'd ever take my children from me. She grew up with a trash father who didn't want her, and I don't think she'd deny her children happiness for the sake of hurting me. I know the reason she lied for so long about it was because she didn't want me to leave. She wanted to keep her family intact. I do want to talk to a lawyer about my options because although I am a stay-at-home dad, I've only been one for a few months. Ever since we had children, I have been the main breadwinner, so I don't know if that will play a factor in any sort of way. I know at least with this specific person it was 3 times. I confirmed it with the person he was dating at the time. She had no reason to lie to me and hated him as much as I did, for he cheated on her multiple times, even when she was pregnant with his kid. I don't think she has cheated with anyone else, but who knows at this point. I never thought she was capable. Changed my view of her character in a way that I can't explain, but I'm sure those of you who have been cheated on can understand. I did think she was truly remorseful, but some recent comments of hers are starting to make me think otherwise. The last few months she has agreed to all of my stipulations on staying and making it work. Her actions have shown me that she really wants me to stay and that she won't do it again. Like I said though, a few comments lately I heard her say makes me second guess it. For example, she keeps bringing up that she can't change the past. There are other things she has said but wouldn't make much sense without the full context. As for her doing it again, no clue anymore. Everything I thought about her loyalty has gone out the window. She keeps saying she's not that person anymore, but to me that sounds like something she tells herself to deal with the guilt. She wants to go to counseling both together and separately and said she's willing to pay for it. I had seen at least one of you mention staying with her while I work on myself and my kids. This was and had been my plan. I just couldn't fake the I love you or the I miss you anymore. I'm not a liar, never have been. I felt guilty even though I felt nothing towards her. I have a plan to build my own business and actually won't cost much to start up. I fear that if I start a business and do as well as I think I will and then file for divorce that I'm going to get screwed. I know the kids are mine. They look more like me than their mother. I have some pretty dominate yours that they both have. Everyone who sees them with me she's jokes, well you won't ever need a DNA test. The problem with that is she has to have the baby with her pretty much anytime she's not at work because the baby is breastfed and absolutely refuses to take a bottle. My wife works a split shift so she can feed the baby in between shifts. I feed her solids when she's at work, but she cannot live on that alone. I've tried everything I can to get that baby to take a bottle but have had no success. That's what's making this more difficult right now. We both need to be here unless she finds someone else to watch her while she's at work, and in order to do that she would have to pay someone too. She can't afford to pay someone and all of our family works in the morning. That's why I quit my full-time job working 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. so I can take care of the kids during the day and work around her schedule. She told me she only needed me to work a few days a week because she would be bringing enough in. We live in a duplex and her mother rents the upstairs apartment. She already knows what happened and is all on her side. Her mother has never been fond of me. I'm going to talk to a lawyer before I do anything regardless. So, I went through her text messages a little for the first time in a while and read some good and bad things. Last week when I told her that I didn't love her anymore and was going to file for separation, she told her friend I put us through this and have to raise my children in a broken home. That could mean she's actually remorseful. But she also said, part of me is relieved but part of me doesn't want it to end like this, and that's the part that disturbed me a bit. She's relieved. Is she relieved that I'm the one who wants to end it? Or relieved that she won't have to deal with the problems anymore? Is she saying that she does want it to end but just not like this? Or is she saying she just doesn't want it to end? She would say I'm reading too into what she's saying, but the words you use show your real feelings, especially if they're words you think I won't see. So last night, for the 3rd time since D-Day happened, I had an opportunity to revenge cheat on my wife, which I have a free pass, but couldn't bring myself to do it. Now you're probably thinking good for you, but don't, because for the 3rd time I regret not doing it. All 3 opportunities were with women far more attractive than my wife. All 3 times I have regretted not doing it. I'm pretty sure me wanting to just sleep with someone else already is a good indicator that I'm just done. Plus, I flirt a lot now and realize I'm really good at it. I think I just want to be single and not of this worry and strife anymore. I don't want any more relationships and I don't want to fall in love again. Time to talk to a lawyer. Over the last 9 years I've been completely loyal, never would even casually flirt. What I think is crazy about all of this is too that I'm the better looking one in the marriage. I know that sounds conceited, but I know it's true too. Since her and I have gotten together I have gotten better looking. I'm more fit, mature, confident, better in bed, and look better than I did 10 years ago. For my wife it's been the opposite. She's gotten bigger and just overall less attractive. The guy she cheated with wasn't even a good-looking dude. He is a coward on top of it. He's scared of me, enough so that he filed a restraining order as soon as he knew that I found out he slept with my girl. I have not wanted to ditch my wife, though she's gained weight, but she wears it well. I loved her so much. Before all this I used to brag about how cool she is. She's a gamer, nerd, metalhead who has a thick butt and beautiful green-blue eyes. She's thoughtful, caring, supportive, and great in bed. That's why this has all been so much harder. If I wasn't happy with her before and found out about all this, I would already be divorced and living with my brother, but I'm here still battling the duality in my own head. It's been a little over a year since D-Day and I'm still miserable. I still think about it all the time. Pretty sure I'm becoming an alcoholic. I can't ever sleep or have fun or relax. I don't enjoy anything anymore. Bonding doesn't even feel good to me anymore. I constantly think about X myself and have visions of physically harming the guy she cheated on me with. I know I need to walk away and just end it, but I keep making excuses and saying I'm staying mostly for my kids. I don't love her anymore. I'll say, I love you too, and I die a little inside every time I do. Anytime she leaves the house, or I do, I'm worried she's going to cheat. Anytime we end up talking about it, I get so angry that I just want to end it. I've been secretly using a chat app to talk to other women for about 4 or 5 months now. Even made plans to hook up with one woman, not the plans fell through. I have this stupid idea that if I cheat on her that maybe I can love her again, but deep inside I know I probably never will. I really do miss that warm love feeling I had with her, and I wish it could come back. Anytime I get even close to feeling that, the past comes back to remind me that I actually hate her. Whenever she talks about the future of us, I can't even imagine being with her that long. I don't know if I'm scared, ignorantly hopeful, or just scared what I'll become if I actually become single, but I just can't bring myself to actually leave her. I hate myself for it. I hate her. I hate life. I need to get help but can't get insurance at the moment. I'm not really looking for advice, but rather a safe place to vent. I don't have any friends and I can't talk about it with my family. My comment: sir, you're in limbo and the only one that can pull you from this is yourself. You need to find an outlet that's not related to this, something to give you a purpose so that you can leave this vicious cycle and see you have worth. Stop drinking. Stop thinking about her. Start thinking about yourself and what you need, not what you want. Why do you hate her? My understanding is that she got the hots for tea about a year and then cheated on you. 2010 or so, I think. She said one time. She kept the lie. Then in Feb 2015 she hooked up again and started babysitting for tea, she says 2 more times after lying for 3 years. My take on it is that she never really came clean. I don't believe the breakup one-time story. I think she had that going on before she broke up. It would have been hot and heavy for her to break up with you, and I think maybe he didn't want her. Maybe he had his own baby mama thing going on. Who knows? You probably do, but anyway, I think once there is a lie. Then the Feb 2015 starts babysitting his kid. You thought it odd because she hardly knew him, but probably it had been hot and heavy between them before that started, and it would have ratcheted up after. Again, it seems she's minimized it. She told you once her mindset. She is lying to save the marriage. I really think you love this girl. You know you do. That's where the hate comes from. I think you are mixing up hate and anger. It's an extreme emotion, one way or the other, love and hate and anger. You've snooped her enough to know she wants you. I don't think you ever got the truth from her as to how her feelings were at that time as her cheating, both times. I think you are angry at yourself for a whole load of things, including going against your own values for staying with someone who treated you that way. I think your wife is redeemable. The actions she took, the choices, can't be undone. Take away the cheating, would you be unhappy with her now? Do you hate her now for what she did in 2015, or in 2016, or 2017, 2018, or stuff still going on today? A lot of people cheat. Let's say you meet another woman, get serious. Do you think she'd tell you the truth about any past cheating she did? Would you even ask? If you leave your wife, do you think she'll cheat on the next guy she's with? I have no answers for you. I just think you have to get outside of yourself a little and see the forest from the trees. I think you're mired in the day-to-day. You talk about a free pass. I'm not necessarily against it. My own feelings were to do it to hurt my wife, not because I desired a good time from a hot woman. Not that I wouldn't enjoy it, but it's not something I would have thought about at all if not for my wife and wanting to hurt her. And even if I did that, it really would be nowhere near as hurting me. She deceived and lied and blindsided me. She would be knowing it happened. The only way to hurt her the same way would be to act like we're reconciled, stay with her a number of years, then out of the blue have an affair and let her find out by getting blindsided. That was too much messed up even for me. What really could hurt her, and I could do it quick, would be to divorce her knowing she wanted to stay with me. But you know, about you, you had one paragraph in one post about how much you love this nerd, gamer, beautiful eyes, etc. If you divorce, would you be cutting off your nose to spite your face, one of my own specialties from time to time? All I'm saying is trying to think it out, even yourself out, which takes time. Whatever you are going to do today, you probably can do just as easily tomorrow. Decide to stay or decide to leave. And a year is not a long time to work this stuff out. It's a painful experience. It's a long time wound with a long time healing process, whether you stay with her or not.